Welcome to the show that gives you the tools to break through into all you were created to be. It's the Pam Ramey Show, and Jesus, girls and guys, let's find our roar. Hey, Jesus, girls and guys. Welcome back to the Pam Ramey Show. If you're joining us for the first time, it is so good having you here, where we share powerful testimonies of how God steps into some of our very darkest moments and meets us there and begins to heal the broken places in our lives and transform our lives and takes us from a place of brokenness to a place of healing and victory. And today we have such a special guest, and she's going to share her story of tragedy and loss with us. And I'm sure that there are many aspects of her story that you'll be able to relate to. And if you cannot relate to them, I'm sure you know somebody who can. So it is my great honor and pleasure to welcome to the show today, Rebekah Ferrell. How are you doing, Rebekah?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It is so good to have you on the show.
Oh, I appreciate you having me on. It's
Truly an honor.
It's a blessing
to have you here.
Yeah.
So we just want to learn a little bit about you first of all. Tell us what you do for a living.
So I do ultrasounds. I'm a sonographer is the technical name, but slang term is ultrasound tech. So
ultrasound tech. And so that kind of keeps you busy.
It does. Yeah. I currently work at a urology office. So it's normal business hours. So that's nice not having to do call and overnights and stuff like
Which
that.
you used to have to do.
I did.
Yeah.
For a while. Yeah.
That probably gets old after a while.
Yeah. I'm not built for the midnight hour.
You know what? You and me both. And you have you're a little dog mom.
I am. It's a little Thor.
Little Thor. How much?
Little mighty Thor.
Mighty Thor. Mighty Thor. Now, Thor weighs all of what?
Like 7 pounds.
7 pounds. He is so cute. He's like such a little teeny thing, and I love his name. But he kind of lives up to his name.
He does. Yeah, he's got a lot of spunk.
He's got a lot of spunk, least. A lot of spunk and a lot of personality.
Yeah.
He really does. Well, Rebekah, I'm going to ask you to share with us just and our audience a little bit about just as you were growing up and, you grew up in a Christian home.
Yes.
And you kind of had certain goals set for yourself. You're a planner and a goal setter, and you had certain ideas set out for yourself about the person you were going to marry and dating and all of us. Maybe you could share a little bit of that with us.
Well, sure. So like you said, I was raised in a Christian home. I've never not heard my house talk about God. Originally my parents go to a much more conservative church. I was raised in independent Baptist churches, which, I'm thankful for. I don't, I guess I've broadened my horizons. Sorry, Mom. But just kind of going as God leads me to. I'm very thankful for my upbringing because the foundation was solid in those moments, who God was, the Trinity, all those things, the important things. But let's see, what else did you want to know?
Well, you always had a strong foundation.
Yes.
And that is really powerful. But so I'd asked that as you grew up, what were your ideals about getting married and dating and all of that? What was that like for you?
So even at a young age, like I never was one that wanted to date just to date. Like I knew whoever I dated I wanted it to have purpose. Even as a teenager, not that I was planning on getting married at 16 or 17, but that was kind of my primary goal, was not to waste my time or anybody else's time. So wanted to date for marriage. And I was very picky, I wanted them to love Jesus first and foremost. And, the other stuff just kind of, you want somebody that's kind and faithful and all those things. But I feel like most of the time when they do love Jesus genuinely, you feel like those other things will follow in suit.
So it was very important to you, even as a teenager when you were dating, that whoever you dated, that you shared the
values,
the exact same values, and that you both, that your relationship would be centered around God.
Yeah. Needless to say, I went on a lot of first dates.
Well, that's all right.
And not anymore, because you'd find out like, oh, well, they're not really, the person I need to be with.
So we're going to fast forward. Now you are, out of your teens, and you're involved
just by a few years.
In a few years, but as we're a few years, but you met a guy. You met a guy at church, and who was very gregarious, and you really turned his head.
Yeah.
Even though you kind of rejected him at first, but tell us a little bit how that relationship went.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had just come out of dating like a couple of people from online dating apps, a couple of guys from my church, and each one was just like,
it didn't work.
It was just terrible. Like, I mean, those are stories for another day. but, so I was just kind of like, I'm good. I don't want to date anybody. I thought I wanted that, but I'm good. And then here comes along this
single.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden this guy pops into my Facebook messages and is like, hey, says his name. And I was like, I don't know this person.
Really?
But it was one of those things. Facebook was we had mutual friends.
Gotcha.
But we did go to the same church. We had just gone to different services.
Oh, so he found you on Facebook through a mutual Facebook friend.
Yeah. From what he said, because I used to do 5K races and I did the Warrior Dash.
Go you! That's pretty awesome, right there.
And I was jumping over the fire area, and of course, I'm wearing my Wonder Woman T-shirt with a tutu. And he thought that looked awesome. He was like, "This person looks awesome," so
Wonder Woman in a tutu. What more could you want?
Right?
Yeah.
So after the initial messaging, I was polite, just trying to, keep things kosher, I guess. And then he, we started actually texting and stuff like that. But I told him from the very beginning that I wasn't looking for a relationship because he was quite a bit younger than me. And I just, because of getting out of those other relationships, I just was like, I'm good,
Yeah.
So we were friends for several months before I even ever considered it. But I made sure very clear multiple times that I was not going to date him.
Wow. So you were friends for quite a few months, and then all of a sudden you find yourself dating him.
Yeah.
How come? What broke it? What changed your mind?
So I think, let me think back here. So I think what happened was, I started to get to know him as a friend and I enjoyed his company. And, like some of the previous ones, it's not to say that they're bad people, but like quite a few of them would date me and do kind of that love bombing, where they pursue you like it's like a fairy tale, like take you to these extravagant restaurants, or they're doing all the things that a girl wants a guy to do in the way, like, because we want boom, boom, boom usually.
Yeah.
And, then they would just be like, oh, well, I just don't feel the same way, or go back to their ex or something like that. And so I felt really I hate using the term, but I felt discarded like trash. So it was.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with him, after rejecting him multiple times, he was still willing to be my friend. And that meant a great deal to me. He was offered a potential internship in another state, and it flipped the switch where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose him.
Really?
So I asked him, I said, what, I'm willing to give this a try if you still are. And, God had spoken to me a couple of times through my sister and then a friend of mine at work at the time who said the exact same thing. And I knew it was God speaking through them. One of my biggest qualms was he's like 9.5 years younger than me. This is not going to work, and they said, honestly, Rebekah, I was more concerned about what other people were going to think about it.
Right.
And they said, if he gives you all the things that you need, it's really nobody else's business how old he is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And they both said it pretty much the exact same way. And so I prayed about it some more, and I just felt like that was Holy Spirit giving me the confirmation. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did not take the job.
He did not.
In the other state, and you began dating, and ultimately.
Yeah. Ultimately, we got married, got engaged and got married. I moved across town to live over in the area where he, was called to work. So, yeah.
So now you're married, and as a married couple, you're wanting to have a child.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So because I was a little bit older, and I wasn't like old, like I was only 32. So when we got married, but I knew, I didn't want to wait till I was in my in my 40s to have a child.
Right.
So, we were going to wait a couple of years, but I knew like I was missing cycles. I was having hot flashes.
Which is not typical at the age of 32.
No, it's not. At first I kind of thought maybe it's just because I'm on a super clean eating, lifestyle or doing really hardcore workout or something, because I would get in those moments. But after about a year of being married, we decided to go ahead and start trying for a child, and with those symptoms. And then, after several months, nothing really happening, I was like, maybe I should go to the doctor and just kind of get my blood work checked and just talk to them and just kind of get an idea of where we're at, be smart about this. And come to find out, I was in perimenopause, like my estrogen, my egg reserve was like it was really low.
My goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been devastating for you.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're 33 years old.
Yeah. I was not happy about it. I don't want to say I was I know it sounds bad. I wasn't devastated because, but I had my heart set on having a biological child at this time. Because to back up, like I've not always wanted to have children biologically. Several years before I married him, for a long while I said, I want to have kids for the right reasons. I don't want to just have a kid just because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So a couple of years before I met him, God kind of shifted my heart in that. But with that, I've always wanted to adopt because I wanted to bring about like a better life for a child if I can. So that was the other reason we were trying, because we wanted to try to adopt at some point as well. So
adoption was always on the table for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I was upset about it. I had my moments, and we didn't stop trying to have a child. My doctor said it's not that you can, it's just you might need a little help. Me being me, I work in the medical field. So I went and I searched all the things, doctors that specialize in perimenopause and all that stuff, and prayed about it. And one day I was driving to work. It was the day I was going to call the doctor that I had found, because I was just going to go do a consult, kind of see what was available and if there's any direction I should go. And I've heard God tell me like very clearly in the car on my way to work, he said, I need you to trust me. And I knew it was in a way that it meant not to do fertility stuff.
Okay.
I don't know how I knew that, but
I
just knew that he didn't want me to call the doctor. And so I said, okay. And I had such a peace about it.
And that is the big thing right there is when God gives us his peace, it's such confirmation.
Yeah. And
isn't it?
It made it so much easier
Oh,
too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. And also, probably what made it easier is that adoption had always been very much a part of your for quite a few years now, had been part of your thinking. So at that point, what did you decide to do, the two of you?
So for the time being, there were because I'm a planner,
Mm-hmm.
there were certain things that I wanted to do. Like, we lived in an older home. We wanted to get in a newer place so that we weren't having to deal with as much maintenance and
Mm-hmm.
just everything about the house. So, because it was older, we kind of talked about that before. So we were kind of waiting on, that was the biggest thing. And we wanted to give having a child of our own ample time. And it's not to make light of fertility or anything like that. That's my journey. But because I still had my days,
Oh, yeah.
I do ultrasound. So, it's not to say that I wasn't taking a peek sporadically. Hope my bosses don't watch this.
Oh.
But, so, and yeah. So, and I think there was a time I was probably pregnant and it didn't take. So, so it's not to say that I wasn't upset. It's just God gave me a peace to carry me through that.
What would you say to women who are struggling with infertility, Rebekah?
What would I say? Just to stay positive, stay in prayer. Mm-hmm. There's a million things. You get advice from a million different people, but only God's opinion matters. Keep a strong community. Yeah. And not to feel like you're alone. I think that's something I mentioned in my testimony was that, so I had this friend, and that's where I got it from, because it's always kind of stuck with me. Mm-hmm. I guess she struggled for a year or so with not getting pregnant, and she, we had talked at one point, and she said, you can feel very alone. And I sat there for a second, and I thought about it, and I said, she's right. You keep the things to yourself, and my little jingles.
I love your jingles.
You keep things to yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't tell people, because, you feel like people don't want to hear it all day long, each month that you waited to get pregnant and stuff. So I would just say, don't do that. Like, the devil wants you to feel like you're alone. Yeah. He wants to seclude you and, have a good community,
And a good community that will reach out to you. So if you know of somebody going through infertility, reach out to that. Reach out to them, right?
Yeah. Because, even if you think that they don't need, you're like, well, they seem fine. Mm-hmm. It matters. It matters more than you know.
It matters more than you know. Yeah. Yeah.
Pray with them, encourage them. Mm-hmm. I think it matters more than you know.
Yeah, so I think that's an important thing to say, and to encourage not only somebody who is in the midst of it to not isolate and feel alone, but also for the community of people around this person and around this couple to encourage them and to reach out. Yeah. So at some point, you two began an adoption process.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, we started, I'm trying to think, we started the adoption process maybe 2021 or 22, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. I reached out to different people that I knew had adopted just to, excuse me.
It's all right.
That I knew had gone through adoption. So I wanted to see what agencies they use, whether private or company, and just really get information about it, but also just pray where God was leading, where we should go. So that was kind of the start of the process. And we did narrow in on one. It was a Christian agency, and Yeah, the home study process probably took us about, I don't know, 6 months, 6 to 10 months. Um, you know,
Was that a hard process to go through?
for me, no, but
Mhm.
it can.
It can
It
be.
can be, going through in the medical field. I've had to fill out a lot of different paperwork and
Mhm.
clinicals and internships and stuff like that. So I'm used to all the paperwork. But I mean, it was a lot of different things you had to do. You had to watch training videos, which were a lot of them. You had to fill out worksheets. You had to give your testimonies. You had to create a pamphlet, do
Oh,
a
wow.
portfolio, get two different kinds of background checks, do 911 screening, and
There's
then
a lot of layers there.
there's a lot of layers.
Yeah.
And I'm a plan because I'm a planner. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I finished this task. Why aren't you emailing me back? I think that was probably my harder part for me.
You would get it done,
Yeah.
but you would not hear back from
Yeah.
the agency.
I mean, you literally give your blood, sweat, and tears. Like you have to go to the doctor and get blood work drawn.
Wow. Wow.
So
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's a lot of process.
To it.
And it's expensive too. Like
Mhm.
most background checks are probably $1,500 or more.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Per
And that doesn't include like the background checks that you have to do. Like you have to pay for that as well.
per person or per couple? How does that?
The home study is 1,500. Like I think ours was like around 12 to 1,300. Because the agency gets a lot of different, funding through
Mhm.
because it's a Christian agency. But that's just per couple. Now the background checks, I don't remember how much those were, but like they you have to pay per
Mhm.
person.
Right.
So
you're in this process now, and how long does the whole process take?
I'd say anywhere from 6 months to a year because it just depends. Most of it was the video training. It just depends on how fast you get through
Got
those.
you.
And then everything else is just like, okay, so now that you've done this, here's this, do
Mhm.
this. And then you have to wait for somebody to the 911 is seeing if there were any calls made to 911 and why they were made, if there were.
Oh my.
So I'm waiting for somebody to come back from vacation to send me my transcript kind of thing. And I'm just
Wow.
like, so, there's a lot of do and then wait, do and then wait.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So you're now on the other side of that. You have completed all of the adoption process. And does it then just become a waiting game?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it becomes a waiting game. It's my counselor through the agency, and she was absolutely wonderful. Like I love her so very much. And she always reassured me, which they should, that we weren't hassling them because you're like, I'm one of those, I feel like I'm bugging them because I know they're busy.
Right.
But they always encourage, like, don't feel like that. Always
That's
reach out if you have a
wonderful.
question.
That's good. Yeah.
But she said that she even said it's going to get quiet, like if I do have a question, I'll reach out via email. Because she said when we call, that's when we've got potentially big news.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't want to get your hopes up and
Gotcha.
squash it. So that was kind of the way they did it.
So they prepared you in advance that there was going to be some silence and you were prepared for that.
Yeah.
Rebekah, how long was their silence before you heard anything?
I mean, honestly, we didn't wait as long as some people, but it still felt like ages.
Yeah.
We probably waited about 13 to 15 months before we got
That's a long time.
the for sure thing. Like we had a couple of times where they had a potential option, and they wanted to see, like we would be grouped in with that because the birth mother gets to choose who she wants to parent her children.
Okay.
So you make up this portfolio book of pictures and descriptions of kind of like your life and who you are, so they can kind of get to know you. And they said sometimes it's not something super deep. Sometimes they say, oh, they're an Atlanta Braves fan,
wow.
I want them to be
or
the
we
parents.
have the same color of eyes. Or
right.
Yeah, you don't ever know.
So, so we were grouped in couple of times with different people, but they wanted to be sure, like, hey, well, would you be okay with this?
Right.
But those didn't work out. And then, so we waited about 13 to 15 months. We had to renew our home study, which cost money because
Wow.
you have to renew them once a year.
So that year transpired and you had to, it's kind of like starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a lot.
Yeah. And
That's a lot.
so, and the other thing was, like, they said we could always ask how many times we've been shown to a birth mother if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
We could choose not to know each time we're shown. And so I chose not to be told because it feels like a rejection,
You know
even though
what?
it's not.
I
But
agree. I can understand that.
yeah,
It would feel like a rejection.
yeah,
I think that was good wisdom
yeah.
on your part. Did
So-
you both feel that way?
He didn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to protect myself. I reached out sporadically to ask, like, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
And I think close to the time that we got placed, I was talking with my sister and she's like, "Are you sure this place isn't a scam? Are you sure, like, y'all been waiting a little while, like, being the good big sister that she is."
Watching out
And
for you.
I'm like, well, it's fine. They said it would be like this. So I was like, but I'll reach out and just see. So I asked them how things were going, were they still getting birth mothers coming in? And she said, yes, they were. We've been shown a couple of times, but they don't have any news for us. And what we didn't know was that we were already selected, but
You were
they
already
wait
selected.
until, because she didn't want to, this birth mother, she wanted a closed adoption. And because of that, we didn't have to meet her prior.
Got you.
Some birth mothers want to meet the adoptive parents
And
in
that would
person.
be an open adoption.
Could be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they can pretty much, make the plan how they want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of that, they wait until the revocation period is over after the baby's been born.
Okay.
So that's why they didn't tell us when I reached out.
Oh my goodness.
But we found that out later, which was funny.
Wow, that is something. So you get a placement.
Yeah. We get a call on trying to remember the date. I'd remember it any other time. But we get a call. She was born on March 30th. Of course, I will never forget that day.
Yeah.
And it was 5 days later. So I think it was April 4th. Because we went to pick her up, I think, on April 5th. But yeah, I got the call. I was at work and I about lost my mind. You think you're in a dream. You're like, oh my goodness, this lady's calling me.
And you already had your nursery. And you were ready.
I was ready.
You were ready.
We had everything ready.
Yeah, you had everything.
Didn't mean we didn't go for a shopping spree that night, though.
That's right.
But yeah. So they called. My counselor called me. And I shake my head because I'm such a responsible person. I should have just left work and been like, reschedule this patient. But I had one patient left. And so, of course, I talked to my counselor. They want me to go home and talk to my husband to make sure we're all okay with the details of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to make it a surprise. I didn't want to tell him on the phone.
Oh.
So but I had one more patient that was like there in like 5 minutes. So I'll go and me and the girls in the clinic, we just go and, scream and shrill, because we're all excited about it. So, and I scan my patient. I'm like shaking the whole time.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, why didn't I just leave? So
oh my goodness.
I leave. I stop at the store real quick and pick up a little outfit and I go home. He's, spraying for weeds outside and I hand him the bag and he's like, what's going on?
Oh.
And I was like, just open the bag. He's like, what is this? And then he pulls it out and he's like, have we been placed? And I was like, yeah.
We've been placed.
He was just kind of in shock, We weren't like screaming, shrilling kind of people,
You
know,
got to do
but
that with your girls at work.
yeah,
So
we just hugged, embraced, and then we went inside and we talked about the details of baby girl, and we were okay with it. So we called the counselor back and they said, "Can you come pick her up tomorrow?" So
So tell us about that, Rebekah.
So we drove to where she was at. It was a couple hours away, and my sister went with us. She drove us. Um, but I mean, it was just surreal. She was so tiny.
Oh,
She was 5 days old.
oh.
She was absolutely perfect. Best day of my life,
Best day
hands
of your
down.
life. Did you already have your name picked out?
We did. We named her Adeline Bethel.
Adeline Bethel.
Yeah, I always liked the name Adeline. I just thought it was a really beautiful name.
It is a beautiful name.
And it means noble and kind. And then Bethel, I was having trouble figuring out a middle name that went with our last name. And I would try different things. I'm like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And then I remember Pastor Craig I don't remember what the sermon was about. Sorry. But I remember he was talking about Bethel and said the house of God. And I was like, I love it.
I love that.
That's
So
going to be her
Bethel
middle
means
name.
the house of God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
her name literally meant gentle and kind house of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So you bring her home.
We bring her home. I got to go on maternity leave. And
how long did you get to go on maternity leave?
3 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So 2 months of that was paid for me, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Newborns wake up. Most of them wake up quite a bit.
Yeah. I remember that. Yes. Yeah.
But she was worth every exhaustion. Like, she was just, she was just perfect. She's a strong little girl, very vocal.
Very vocal.
Yeah. And when she got a little bit older, months later, she loved to just kind of shriek at the sound of her lungs.
Oh.
I was on.
She loved to hear her own voice.
She did.
She's probably a singer. She's probably a singer.
Probably.
Worship leader.
I remember one day I was on the phone. Well, one day she called Auntie Christina Jones. I was in the kitchen and she was in a safe place in the living room while I was grabbing something, and she was having a meltdown moment.
Oh.
It's a funny story. And she had called, my phone was next to her, and she had hit the phone and called Auntie Christina Jones and left a voicemail of her shrieking.
Oh, that is funny. And how old was Adeline at this time?
She must have been just a few months old.
Oh my goodness.
But it was
left a voicemail.
She was like, "What are you doing to her?" It was
left a voicemail at just a few months old. Hey, that's talent right there. That is talent. Well, I know that Adeline has been your greatest love story.
Oh yeah.
But something changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had her for about 7 months, and we had gone through all the red tape. We were 2 weeks away from finalizing, and it took us a little bit longer. Like, we had a couple of hiccups throughout, which 2 different hiccups that we had never happened in the agency's history, because we would have been finalized before then. When they do termination of parental rights, because they weren't sure who the birth father was, there was this, you have to post it in the newspaper to make it legal. And if they don't come forward, then it's an automatic termination of parental rights.
Oh, okay.
But they have to post it in the city where they live, is typically where they put it. Well, they did that, but she had met the birth father in Texas. So they did it in the wrong city, so they had to do it again. And that backed us up 2 months.
Oh my goodness.
because we had to reset our a date for the TPR, which is termination of parental rights hearing. And then a little bit later, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. So there's a registry online, like for, like, if you think you might be a potential birth father of somebody months down the road, you can fill out your information online. Well, somebody had filled it out, but it didn't match what the birth mother was, telling them. And her story was very consistent the whole time. So, I felt pretty confident it was a mistake. She never wavered in what she said, which was refreshing.
Yeah.
And so that backed us up probably 2 or 3 weeks. So,
my goodness.
yeah. So we had her for about 7 months. We finally had all the things together. We had to redo background checks, all the things. And, we did funding too for the adoption. Like that was another thing. Like if people are hesitant about adoption, like you can do fundraisers, you can do, there are grants out there that you can apply for. Like half our money was given personally and, through we did t-shirts. The other half of our money was raised through grants.
Wow.
And
that's a good thing for people to know.
Yeah, we raised it 100% of the proceeds. We even had done a grant for for the adoption for the finalization court fees was completely covered.
Wow.
So
that's wonderful.
And those are a lot of work.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that can do them for you, that would be a great idea.
Especially grants.
But
there's a lot of paperwork.
It is a lot of paperwork. It's just about as much as the adoption.
Yeah.
Home study. But anyways, so we had her for about 7 months. We were 2 weeks away. And we had tragedy hit. We, completely out of left field. I was getting ready for work. I just gotten my coffee cup and I was sitting in the bed. And I saw that there were flashing lights through the blinds. And I was like, maybe it's like a police car patrolling the neighborhood. But I was like, it feels a little bit excessive, like it's more than one all of a sudden. So I get up, I go look through the blinds, and there's a whole squad of police approaching my house with shields and guns. And yeah, I screamed for my husband to get up out of the bed. And I told him to go down because they knocked on the door. They didn't just barge in. And he went and answered the door. I ran and grabbed the baby. And then, they eventually called my name to come down. So I came down and, there were just police everywhere.
Wow.
My husband was outside standing on the driveway with, a police officer. He wasn't handcuffed or anything, but just standing there with him.
How frightening.
So they led me and her to a car just to sit in. And they searched the home. They pulled both of us into different rooms to interview us. But yeah, and then we found out why they were there. They had gotten a tip that my husband had admitted to viewing child pornography online. It was stuff that they had caught him doing that was dated back to January, but he admitted to everything. I think he knew there was no hiding this at this point.
Did they confiscate like computers or anything?
Yeah,
all that.
They obtained all of our stuff. They did give me my stuff back once I think it was because he had admitted to it. But they still took his laptop, iPad, his phone. Yeah. So,
Rebekah, did you have any clue that the man that you were married to had any kind of involvement in something like this?
Not even in my wildest dreams, or nightmares, more like it. It's, in marriage, you deal with, no marriage is perfect. You have disagreements, you have things you have to work on. It's not like we had some good times, but it's not like we lived a picture perfect marriage. Social media tries to portray that all the time, but it's, so there were a few times that, I had caught him with adult pornography, but never once had I ever caught child pornography. Never even crossed my mind. The church we attended that we met at, they're part of what's called the End It movement. They supported it's an organization, it's a movement that is making awareness of like stuff like that, that we fully supported. And so
were you involved in that in it?
Yeah, I mean, we supported it. It was where you draw a red X on your hand, you let people know, because with, child pornography, it's it's either children that are being abused in their own homes, or it's children that have been kidnapped and they're being
trafficked.
Being trafficked. And, I looked it up before I came tonight, and I don't know how accurate the statistics are now, but it's a huge problem. Like, there are millions that are trafficked, whether it be women, men, kids. They can be in slavery, but it's sexually abused.
Oh my goodness.
So the End It movement tries to bring awareness to that. Like, I think there was a quote, I'm probably not going to say it accurately, but it's, like, you can't do anything by not doing something, but people don't know to do something if you don't say something.
That's so
it's
true.
So it's making awareness for the fact of how big of a problem it actually is.
That's a very big problem.
Yeah.
That is
so it was a huge shock to me. I had no idea. And I feel like, I was talking with somebody last week that people had accused her of, she'd gone through a similar situation as me, the first person I've met, and that's more for, I guess, later, is because, I've not met anybody that's gone through what I've gone through. And, but she made the comment that people accused her, how could you have not known? And it's such a horrible thing to say with somebody going through that.
That is a horrible thing.
I get, there are probably a couple of people out there that are in cahoots together, but when you know somebody's character and stuff, even if you don't, I've seen articles online, a child being, deceased because of a parent doing something horrible to them. And I read them online that how could they have not known, and it's don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Especially if there's no proof of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to make those kinds of accusations and to spread that kind of misinformation, it's the wrong thing to do. That is the wrong thing to do. And it compounds the pain.
Yeah, it does.
It compounds the pain. So, Rebekah, here you are. Devastated. You've got this SWAT team showing up at your front door. You're learning something about your husband that you didn't in your wildest dreams ever imagine.
Right.
And you're 2 weeks out from having your adoption finalized. Yeah. What's going through your mind at this time?
I think I was in shock, to be honest. I asked one of the officers, I was like, we're supposed to adopt her in 2 weeks. What's going to happen with that? And they couldn't answer that for me. But, he wasn't allowed to be in the house, after they left. They were sending him for...
Did they arrest him?
I think they were going to, but he offered to do a lie detector test because he wanted to prove that he had not touched anyone. He was adamant that, yes, he had viewed, but he had not touched anybody. So they had him leave, but they told him he couldn't come back to the house. And, the lie detector test ended up being broken, and he didn't go to jail till the next day, but he still wasn't allowed to be in the house, which I wouldn't have allowed at that point anyways. But, I think I was just in shock. When they left, I called a couple of people. A few neighbors had, I have I'm very thankful. I'm very, very lucky. And I know I've probably not been as involved in my community since then, but like my neighbors, if any of y'all are watching this, y'all have been amazing. Like I have some of the best neighbors in the world.
They were there for you.
They were texting me. My neighbor across the street, he's ex-military, and he was sitting out on the steps waiting, making sure we were okay.
Oh.
He didn't move for a couple of hours.
Oh.
You know,
that's very precious.
Yeah, that meant a lot.
Precious. That means a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, I had some that texted me to make sure I was okay. But I called my sister and Jana first because I needed somebody there. I knew my kettle was about to blow. I had kept calm. I wasn't crying, like I kept calm, but I could feel the steam going. Oh, yeah. And I needed somebody to take the baby. So my neighbor, they didn't answer. They called back very quickly, and those weren't great conversations. I'm one that contains my composure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was screaming on the phone. But my neighbor came running over to watch her while I talked to them. So very thankful for her as well.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, so they got there. I had to talk to him in person, which I did. And I got the answers I didn't want to know. Wow. Because I had yet to talk to him. It was just hearsay from the officers.
Well, and you were interviewed in separate rooms,
right,
and then separated.
Yeah.
And so you were able to talk to him and learn some things, like you said. I'm sure were very devastating.
Yeah.
To hear.
Yeah, I was just hoping it was a misunderstanding or something. But from that moment on, I knew that my life was forever going to be different.
Yeah.
I knew my marriage was over, so it was.
Wow, Rebekah. And as if that were not hard enough.
Yeah.
You now had to live with the fear of not knowing if you were going to be able to keep the baby.
Right. So I had reached out to my adoption attorney, and she had said that probably the only way that they would let me keep her is if I dissolved the marriage, which, like I said, there was just a shield that went up when I found out what he had done. The details are just, I love him as a person. There's a part of me that will always love him. He was my spouse, but it's, you can't go back once you know the details of it. And since then, it's like I knew, on a side note, anybody that's going through this, it's just good details to know that one of the investigators had said that, like they will make light of the truth. So just to be careful with that. And I was like, they're just building a case. It's not a big deal. Time and time again, there were still things that
he was making light of,
like it wasn't as bad as it sounds, and that broke my heart over again. It's
not taking full responsibility for the brevity of what you were going through.
Yeah. So, I had a mixture of emotions. I had a great support team. I had people staying with me at night just to make sure, because I was still in such shock and I was in survival mode at this point. Yeah. But I was going to do whatever it took to keep my little girl. If they would let me, I was definitely willing to fight for her. But, so they came and they visited the following Monday, and it wasn't up to my counselor or the director. It was up to the board. And, they ultimately, it was like a week later, decided to remove her. So it was.
Since you were going to dissolve the marriage, why was that not enough for them? Did the board say? Or were you able?
They gave a couple of examples. One was that the birth mother had, she wanted a 2-parent home, which is why she came to Covenant Care. They hadn't I don't think they had re-talked to her about that specifically,
Mhm.
but they wanted to honor her wishes with
Mhm.
that, for one. Two, it was a liability because what if Brandon did come back in the picture? What
Right.
if somehow, even though they knew I had nothing to do with it, but there are those scenarios where, those rare scenarios where
Right.
the spouse
Right.
is involved with it.
Right.
It was a huge liability, probably for her, the baby,
Right.
and for the agency.
I understand that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But they, I think they saw the charges and they couldn't do it. Like, would I have liked for them to have handled it differently, given me a probationary period,
Mhm.
even kind of the route that it was taken? Yeah.
Mhm.
But they'd never encountered this situation before.
Really?
They've never removed a child in general, nonetheless have to remove them for this.
My goodness.
So, I was trying to give them grace in that
Mhm.
because they were navigating the best they knew how
Yeah.
to. So, so they said they were going to remove her, and that was it. My adoption attorney didn't know that that's what they were talking to me about either.
Oh, really?
Like I said, there were just several things that I think could
Mhm.
have been handled differently.
Yeah.
I adore them. I really do. But it's, somebody going through what they're already going through. It was a lot. It felt like, yeah.
Wow.
So I asked them, I said, am I never going to see her again? Like,
Mhm.
is there any way that I can get updates or something? I don't want to not just wonder how she's doing. Like, I don't care who adopts her. Like, she's still my daughter too.
Yeah.
She's her birth mother's daughter. She's my daughter.
Yeah.
She's
And always will
whoever's
be.
going to adopt her from this
Yeah.
point on. That's their daughter. She's going to have 3 moms.
Mhm.
Whether we're in her life regularly or not. So, they said that potentially they could work something out with that. So it took them a little bit to figure out what to do with that. I thought it was going to be more than one visit. They said they didn't know what it looked like.
Mhm.
In my thoughts, I thought it was going to be more than one visit.
Mhm.
They knew my verbiage said that. The way they said things, it kind of felt like it indicated that, like maybe once a year or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
And when they came back, they said it was just going to be one visit. And then
Just what?
one
So,
visit.
did you learn this before they actually came in?
No, this was like 6 months after she was
Okay.
removed.
Mhm.
Um,
Rebekah,
yeah,
I'm just going to back up for a
that's
second.
fine.
From the time that your husband was arrested and all of this happened to the time that they did remove Adeline, how much time did you have?
Like 2 weeks.
Just 2 weeks.
Just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was home. My work was absolutely phenomenal with me with that. They said I could take as much time as I needed, no questions asked. Um, and I would never take that time back, because I got to spend day and night with her for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's heavy.
Adeline has been removed from your home, never from your heart, but from your
Right.
home. And you are at least anticipating having an opportunity to be part of her life. So where is that at right now? Are you able to be part of her life?
No, they allowed me to send her, I sent her a Christmas gift. I had to send it through to the agency and they would make sure it got to the adoptive family's house that she was with. And I sent her 1-year-old birthday gift, which was a little bit obnoxious. So if you ever watch this, I'm sorry. But she's turning 1, so that was an expensive shipping.
You know how to put a care package together. I saw you showed me one care package that you put together for her. It was so sweet.
But yeah, so they had allowed me to have like picture updates and
Mhm.
like letter updates that just kind of said how she's doing. It's kind of what the birth mothers receive,
Mhm.
like if they're not gonna see them regularly.
Mhm.
And so they were doing that. They for sure said I could do that. And they were going to send them monthly until November, like the following November. So for
Mhm.
about a year.
Mhm.
And I was still kind of in the waiting, seeing what they were going to decide with visits. You know, I was really hoping, I knew it would be hard,
Mhm.
but I was really hoping for the visits. And then they came back and said it would just be one visit and that the updates would be over in November.
That was it.
And I was, again, shell shocked, felt
Oh
led
my
on
goodness.
because they said that they would continue after that.
Mhm.
But I was trying to tread, and they never once like threatened me or anything like that,
Mhm.
nothing crazy like that. But like, I was trying to tread cautiously because I knew they were in a funny situation with
Mhm.
everything that had happened too. They didn't have to give me that. They didn't have to give me any of it,
Mhm.
you know. So that, you know, was grace right there, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But I was mad when they told me that. I mean, I was
I
again
would have been
reliving trauma.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and trying to remain my composure. So I prayed about it, and I ended up not doing the visit because
So there was a visit and you ended up not doing it.
I ended up telling them I couldn't do it
Mhm.
because it was kind of laid down to me this way, like, she's not going to remember the visit. This visit is for me, you
Mm.
know? And yeah, it wouldn't be surrounded by the trauma of everything,
Mhm.
but gonna try not to cry. Saying goodbye to her the first time, I mean, it nearly took me out.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it again.
Yeah.
And without the hopes of seeing her again.
Yeah.
So I politely declined, but I asked them if they would just please reconsider the updates, you know,
Mhm.
even if it was just once a year. You know,
Mhm.
I just wanted to be blessed to see her grow up.
Yeah.
And they agreed to that.
They did.
They did. So I don't talk with them specifically. Like, I
Mhm.
don't, the way the agency, the adoptive family sends the letter updates and the pictures to the agency, and then they send it to me. That
Mhm.
way, you know, you're not dealing with somebody that's going to be obnoxious or harass you
Mhm.
because, you know, not everybody's me, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, but in my situation, many people could get in a harassing state because they want to see their child.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, I always want to put her first, and I would never do that to her.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm very grateful for the updates. It's really helped me
Mhm.
move into healing and stuff.
Rebekah, you are 2 years out
Yeah.
from this tragedy. And I know that you literally have truly walked through the valley of the shadow of death. And I'm to see where you are today is such a miracle. It's such a miracle. And was there a time when you didn't feel like you were going to get to the other side? I know that, I mean, just being in your home without your little girl, were there times when you just feel like you weren't going to make it? Did you ever feel like, that's the first question. Were there times when you feel like you weren't going to make it to the other side?
Oh, yeah.
And also, were there times that the pain was so intense that you just lost your faith, or that you said, you know what? I did everything by the book.
Yeah.
I did everything the right way. I waited for the right man. I, tried to keep my heart in the right place. Why, God? Where were you at with all of that?
What was the first question?
The first
Sorry.
question is, did you ever think you would get to the other side?
So, no, I didn't. I didn't. I was in such a state of depression and just numbness. You know, I didn't lose my faith, but, I did. I asked God why. I got angry. I never said I hated God. I would say I hate you, devil, but in those moments of not feeling like I was going to get to the other side, I mean, it was the first 2 weeks she was gone. I didn't stay at my house. I stayed with friends and family. And then when I came home, I couldn't even sleep upstairs. I had to sleep downstairs and on the couch for probably a month or two.
Rebekah, did you ever, when you were in the darkest part of this, did you ever feel like you just didn't want to be here anymore? That you just couldn't go on?
Yeah,
you did feel that way.
Yeah, I had many nights, and I've not told it to a lot of people, but I think it's important to be as honest and raw as I can because, even if you've not gone through the same situation as me, it's one of those things that you're not alone. Like I was never suicidal or anything like that. I would never take my own life. But there were many nights, I would literally crawl up next to her crib and just cry out to God that I didn't want to be here anymore. The pain, it went very, very deep.
Yeah.
Losing her. My counselor asked me all the time, well, you talk a lot about Adeline. I'm like, well, I was like, that was my child.
That's your
it's not, I said, it didn't mean I didn't love my husband, but I said, he was the one that did these actions.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know that I can't even explain the difference in it, but something about losing her was just, it was a lot. And I've since rebuked those words, but it's just to show how deep the pain went.
Yeah.
But, I never lost my faith. I didn't understand it. I remember telling a friend one time here at Abiding that, there's a song that's what the enemy, which it's like Good Father, things like that, that I was like, I want to believe he's good. I said, but, I thought this was our good. We've been through infertility. I waited till I was in my 30s to meet my husband, did everything, like you said, by the book. And I was like, I thought Adeline was our good.
Yeah.
And then this happened. I was like, so that was one thing I really struggled for a while. Like I never questioned that God was who he said he was. I just didn't understand it.
Right.
But I know he's good. I can't explain it. I know he's going to make things, I'm going to receive those blessings. He's going to restore what the enemy stole.
He is.
I don't know how he's going to do it, but I know he's going to.
Yeah.
I still pray that, one day I see Adeline again in person. I would love to have a relationship with her family.
Yeah.
From their pictures, they seem like really amazing people.
Yeah.
But I know that's going to be a but God moment. Only God can do that. It won't set me back. Some people might think, oh, it's going to hold her back. No, it won't. It will just add to my life. But yeah, no, I still know God to be who he says he is.
You were sharing with me the song, the chorus on Oceans.
Yeah.
And how God was just playing that over and over, singing that over you, really. And it's interesting because I also, in a season of my life, had him singing the same chorus over me, preparing me for a difficult season. And what are those words? Take me deeper.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Can you just, share the words of that?
So, I'm not going to sing for you guys because even though I'm in choir, I'm not.
She's got a really good voice. She really does. I sing next to her sometimes.
So it's, this was a little excerpt I had written down after worship one Sunday because we had talked about it and thought kind of the same thing almost.
Yeah.
And I said, this morning in worship, the song Oceans was played, and there was a part that hit differently this time. It was, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And it had me thinking that in my season of losing my family, I grew stronger. So in the moments like that, I was on the floor pleading out to God because it felt so quiet.
Yeah.
Like I know He's everywhere, but it still felt so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you fast forward to 2 years, you know, to where I'm at now. And, you know, there's still healing and, you know, that wound of losing her and the trauma that happened. But from where I started to now, so with that said, it's so in those moments, you know, it just, hold on, let me find my spot. I do this every time. You know, to me, it was proof that He was there because I grew stronger in the presence of my Savior.
In the presence of your Savior.
Because there's no way I could have grown stronger without Him. There's just no way.
No.
But yeah, so that, you know, I've heard that song a million times. It's one of my favorites. And for, you know, some reason it just, that clicked in my head that I was like, wow, He was there because I grew stronger.
And sometimes when we don't feel Him there, and like you said, it's so silent, it doesn't mean He's not there. He's there. He really is there. And you said something to me, Rebekah, that I thought was very, very profound. You said, God loves us too much to take away our pain before the right time.
Yeah.
That is like, that really spoke to me. And why did you say that to me?
So, you know, I've tried to dive into the Word, whether it be the Bible, worship. You know, I watch Christian-based faith movies or shows, or I'm not much of a reader. I want to be, but I'm not. So I will listen to like the audio version of books and stuff. So I was listening to, am I allowed to say a name?
Oh, sure.
Elisa Turker's, you know, book. I forget the name of the book, but I think it was, for those of you who don't know, she's like a speaker and like, you know, she's dealt with infidelity with her spouse and divorce. And then she dealt with cancer diagnoses. And, you know, I think something with her colon is when this happened. And I don't remember if it was her. I think it might have been her surgeon saying it, but he said, let me think, where did I put that? I think it's right here because I want to get it right. He said that, how could a good God do nothing? Sometimes we don't see it the way it serves us. Sometimes it's the pain that saves us. God loves us too much to take the pain away. He sometimes uses the pain to save our life, whether physically or emotionally. God loves us too much to take away our pain at any other time than the right time, in any other way than the right way.
That is very powerful. That really resonates with me.
So, yeah, even though I don't understand everything, why it had to happen the way it did, you know, why my spouse decided to do these things, why things happened 2 weeks before finalization, God knows, you know, and I trust that He is leading my path, and that, you know, I thank God that she was not hurt in this physically. You know, it's, you know, so many times people jump down this rabbit hole and it does go to physical natures. You know, I would be the one in the orange jumpsuit if that were the case. I mean, I hate to say that, but, you know, Mama Bear's going to protect her baby.
I would be also,
So it's not really my color though, so thank goodness.
It's not your color.
but, you know, it's, so I do believe that God was saving both of me and her, you know, in that. So that kind of resonated with me with that specific part.
I think that is a very helpful thing, to realize that God does use our pain.
Yeah.
He does use our pain, and that just as Peter had to get out of the boat and keep his eyes on Jesus, but the second he took his eyes off Jesus, he started to sink.
Yeah.
That's really where we are. If we keep our eyes on Jesus, no matter where we are, we're going to get stronger and we're not going to go under.
Right.
We're not going to go under. And even if we feel like we're going to go under, if we keep our eyes on, when we keep our eyes on Jesus, he's going to get us through it.
Yeah. Makes us wonder why we ever take our eyes off of him.
Yeah.
Because that's when people make bad decisions, when they start slipping.
It's so true.
So.
Rebekah, your story is so powerful, and it's, and I know it's taken a lot for you to be able to share your story. And I am so grateful that you were able to bring your story to so many people, because I believe that many people in our audience can relate to either pornography that has destroyed a home, and then when you go deeper in the child pornography, or losing a child. And I know that we have a lot of people in our audience that may be experiencing some of the pain that you've gone through. And I would love to just turn the mic over to you and to ask you to speak to those people, speak to that person that may have lost a child, may have had a huge secret kept from them in a marriage and have it exposed, may have been on the floor not wanting to live. I'll tell you, we live in a broken world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pain in this world. And I'm just would love to kind of bring the show to an end with you speaking to that person that really feels hopeless right now.
Yeah.
That feels like, wait, because of what I've gone through, I'm defined by it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to get past it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get past this. Because the pain is too great. I cannot bear up under the pain.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw the mic to you, and if you could just speak to our audience.
Okay. I think there's a couple of things that I could, say. I do want to end with something that I had found a while back, but don't seclude yourself. Like, there's a time and a season for everything. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself grace and time, but don't continue to seclude yourself. Mm-hmm. Make sure you get into that community. And, like we talked about just a little bit ago, keep your eyes focused on Jesus, because that's when we start to sink, even I still have days, there's days where it feels like this last couple of weeks have felt heavier than most because of the anniversaries of everything, but I'm choosing to keep my eyes focused and move forward with my testimony, with being on the podcast, just sharing my story and just trying to help others out. But I want to read this excerpt. I don't remember the name of the movie it was from, but it was very powerful. And I think it kind of speaks to people that might be going through this. Mm-hmm. Says, for people who know the Lord, we act like someone who don't. What do you allow to define you? When I lost my family, it didn't just disappoint me, it devastated me. Something or someone will always have first place in your heart. But when you find your identity, the one who created you, it'll change your whole perspective. At some point, you may ask yourself who you really are. I could feel unloved and unwanted. You can get so many mixed messages from the world around you, where it's easy to live in confusion most of the time. But when you meet the one who created you, you find your identity. It doesn't come from what culture says or even how I feel at any given time. The Creator gets to define His creation. We still have good and bad days. We still have struggles. But through all of that, we can know that the one who loves us died for us and is with us. He overcame everything for us, sin, suffering, and death. So we walk with him every day. We trust in him every day. And since our identity is found in him, we can know exactly who we are.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good, Rebekah. So keep your eyes on Jesus.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on Jesus. And, I'm looking at a very strong woman right now.
Thank you.
And I know you have your days, Rebekah, but I am looking at a woman who is bold. It reminds me of that scripture, Psalm 20, verse 8, that I'm going to paraphrase, but where I'm surrounded by my enemies. I feel like I'm attacked on every side, which you were.
Yeah.
But I'm going to rise up full of courage. I'm going to rise up full of courage and triumphant. And that is what I see in you. I see you rising up triumphantly and full of courage.
Yeah.
Full of courage, enough courage to sit on a podcast and to share your story.
Mm.
And I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for letting me.
Yeah, it's been really an honor.
If I can help one person get through something similar, it's worth it. I mean, I would never choose for it to be part of my story, but,
Yeah.
I know how deep that pain goes. So it's worth it if it can help one person.
Thank you. And I know that you're helping a lot of people. And I know that you're going to continue to help a lot of people. And we're just really grateful that you were on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. That is quite a story. And God is not through writing your story.
No, he's not.
He is not. It is still unfinished,
That's right. He gives us hope in a future.
He gives us hope in a future, and it's good.
And it's good.
It's good because that's what his word says.
That's right.
And we're going to believe his word.
Amen.
We're going to believe his word.
I receive it.
We're going to receive it. We're going to believe it, and we're going to receive it. And we just are so grateful that you were with us here today. And if, just take those words to heart that Rebekah shared. Keep your eyes on Jesus. If you cannot relate personally in your life to some part of her story, you probably know somebody who can. And please share this podcast with them. We are here to encourage you and to point you to Jesus. And if you we would so love for you to subscribe to our channel, like our show, and again, share. Please share the show because there's a lot of hurting people, and we want to be able to get the word out and get these powerful testimonies like Rebekah's. We want to get them out to the world, and we want to encourage you to keep your eyes on Jesus. And most importantly, as you go through your day today, remember this because it is so very important. Jesus is crazy in love with you, and he does have a hope and a plan for your future, and he is ultimately working everything out together for your good. We love you, we're praying for you, and we hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us today on the Pam Ramey Show. Bye-bye.